I am convinced that Jimmy knows my voice.
He definitely does.
I don't know if he could like see my face, but he knows this voice. And when we actually meet in real life, in my dreams, Jimmy's gonna be like, Auntie Nora.
And we're just definitely will. Even if I'm playing like audio from afar, he will literally come running. So, but all right, enough about that. Enough about my damn dog. Yo, welcome to Office Hours, episode 108. Yo, pardon the lateness and whatnot. Your boy's been moving around again and stuff like that. So we're just getting settled in. So that's why we skipped a couple weeks ago and stuff like that. And so here we are. Nora, how you doing?
I have a thought that has nothing to do with the question you just asked me, but maybe, anyways, this is an office hours like behind the scenes conversation, but I'm thinking maybe we do like a summer break at some point and then come back like for school in session because office hours. Anyways, what's up? Hello, DJ Breast Milk. Welcome. Yeah, no, I'm fine. My head is, they're doing construction outside. It's like drilling and sawing and nailing and hammering and all this stuff. And so like, I hope y'all can't hear it. If you do, I apologize. It's feels like there's like, you know, I'm a little overstimulated, but we're here to talk about setting deadlines, all the timelines you need to know. Because I think a lot of times artists will hear like, here's what I should do by age this, or by second quarter, or by and like the too long didn't read, if you've made it 2 minutes almost into this episode, is that almost all deadlines and timelines are arbitrary. Like you can make it all up as you go. And so rather than being hard on yourself for the shoulds or like some unmet expectation that you created or that was socially constructed and isn't actually real, my biggest thing that I can tell you is just make a decision that works for you and then just work backwards in creating a process that feels manageable. And if you miss a date, that's okay. Like that's most deadlines, most timelines, social constructs. But we'll get into the nitty gritty of it as we get more into today's episode. But if you don't make it past the 3-minute mark, take that home with you.
And that's not to say like, yo, don't plan, don't get organized and stuff like that. But we see all the time, whether it's the music industry, just the entertainment industry at large, this whole, well, if you haven't done this by this age, then you're cooked. You might as well give it up, kid. And it's just like it's just not true. I was just talking to someone about this the other day. I wish I had like actual statistics, but there are plenty of people who are well known and quote famous or whatever who didn't get their start till mad late, like really late. And so yeah, and I'm not gonna hold you, like it's stuff that I deal with as well, like, you know, especially, oh my goodness, I'm going into super personal stuff, but you have family who are doing things at a certain clip and a certain rate. And so you start thinking like, damn, like, how come I haven't done this by age 30? And so like, we're not saying that these, that you should be beating yourself up because you're holding yourself to a timeline. It's this, like Nora said, some of this is socially constructed and sometimes happening unconsciously and stuff like that. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about all that stuff. But yeah, we, especially in music and stuff like that, we hear all the time. Me and Nora heard this, you know, when we first came in the game. Oh, if you don't make it by 30, and not even just for rappers or other artists and bands, but even as writers and as, you know, other places in the industry. Oh, if you don't make it by 30, no one's ever going to know who you are. And so that's all bullshit.
So like, even as you're talking, Stowe, like just to hear how much of the language is like shoulds and musts and needs. And these are like all or nothing words that like nothing is ever all or nothing. And I think the point that you bring up about comparing ourselves to other people who have maybe taken a more traditional path. Like we did a whole episode about this around like how you should stop comparing yourself. Don't compare yourself. It's not helpful to compare yourself. And so, you know, if you take a traditional path, you go to school, you go to this, you take this, you do this, and then you have a job that's like lined up for you. That's great. That works for some people. But as creatives and as entrepreneurs, part of what you're doing is saying, I'm going to carve my own path. So in carving your own path, what you're saying is like, I'm not taking this trail that's already been carved. I'm going to make it up. And what that means is sometimes you're going to take a detour. Sometimes you're going to be like, ooh, a pretty flower. And you're going to like chase the flower. Sometimes you're going to go back and come back around and been like, oh, I've been whatever. I have like a hiking metaphor in my head for whatever reason. But the process, right? Like you're creating a process from scratch, not a process that's already been a path that's been walked and like tried and true, you know, tested or whatever. And so give yourself that space and remember that you're a creative, which means you get to be creative with your timeline. You get to be creative with your path. You get to be creative with the journey. And so a lot of the like, especially I hear this in hip hop as if like, you're too old. No such thing. No such thing. Or, oh, well,
it doesn't exist.
The timeline has passed. No, it hasn't. I work with artists who, there's two artists in particular that I'm working with, both who are in their like late 30s, early 40s. So they're like older. Songs that they put out 10 years ago are now getting traction. One song is like not magically, but kind of like organically, I don't want to say magic, organically getting radio play. And then another song just got picked up for a major sync. And these are two artists.
By the way.
You said what?
That is organic. Like
yes.
This all is organic. It's not, this isn't like some snap of the finger type, like it is organic. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it is, you know, like the idea that, oh, you put the song out and you have a week to do it and then it's over and it's failed if it doesn't get 1,000 million views all of a sudden. No.
1,000 million.
You know, DJ Breast Milk says, I'm just starting to really lock in at 37. No pressure in comparison to others. Biggest challenge is following my own timelines in light of family life and my ADHD. And I think that's really important because a lot of these like 30 under 30 or like do not take account for the fact that we are individuals existing in a very complex social system where many of us have people to take care of or have dependents or have health issues or are fighting a system of racism and oppression and are activists in our community or like whatever it might be. And so the other thing about these like 30 under 30 or by the age of 25, you must, there's so much privilege embedded in those kinds of statements and those kinds of shoulds and need tos. And so we're not like, we all come with such complexity and allowing for the fact that someone who has like a disability, their timeline is going to be different than someone who doesn't. Someone who has hella wealth privilege, their timeline is going to be different than someone who doesn't. And so again, coming back to in the big picture is like set the timelines that work for you, build out the systems that work for you. Just because Instagram tells you you should post a reel every day, if that doesn't work for you, don't do it. Find the things that work for you. And that's, you know, I say this all the time when we do office hours, but like you're a creative, so give yourself permission to be creative, which doesn't mean there's no accountability. It doesn't mean there's no, you know, like follow through and stuff like that, but create the system that works for you rather than trying to copy and paste a system that was created by a structure that wasn't designed for you.
Because that's really what it is. Like, I think, and listen, again, that's stuff I had to learn too. Like going back to even the whole 30 under 30 or whatever, we have no clue what teams they had behind them. How many people are behind that one person? Like I remember I used to get kind of like, damn, like I'm not doing anything because I'll never even get close to a list like this. But like, number one, fucking good. But second, yeah, again, you have no idea what's behind that entire other person. And 9 times out of 10, there are multiple people behind just the one post you're seeing of just this person at the age of 30 has done this, and this. And so that's one thing. And then second, absolutely use, I tell every creative I work with this, like you, of course, Instagram's going to tell you, you have to post a reel every day. They don't want you to leave their platform. And it's so many people like, oh, the algorithm is not this and it's not that. And it's just, we say this goddamn every episode. The algorithm was never intended to help us, let alone independent creatives, let alone independent musicians, let alone minorities, let alone, like the list gets larger and larger. And so, I understand the frustration I hear from creatives when they're talking about visibility and stuff like that, but that's another reason why we tell, like, yo, get your own goddamn platform so that you can actually have that direct connection with your fan base. But just making sure that you are using the systems that are for you, that allows you actually to move better, believe it or not. If you are forcing yourself to do what insert platform here is telling you and all this other jazz, you're kind of moving away from what does work for you in place of what they're telling you to do. And so that's another reason why we say, like, yo, if you don't want to post every day, don't. We don't want you burning out here. Like, and I think that's another part of the whole like timeline thing. There's so many people, oh, well, we all have the same 24 hours. That's not true. That is not true at all. And so understanding what works for you is how you bypass a lot of this societal pressure and stuff like that. And the reality is that whatever pace and whatever choices you decide to make for yourself still means you can win. It may take a bit longer. It may be a bit more like difficult and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean that you can't be successful in this space.
DJ Breast Milk says the algorithm is just Jabba the Hutt. And I know that's a Star Wars reference. I don't actually know what it means because I've never seen that one of Star Wars.
I hate to tell you, I know you're banking on me on this one, but I also do not know anything about Star Wars short of the video game. So we're lost. Either way, I just know that he's a slob. That's all I know.
Oh, he's like the big one that takes Princess Leia captive.
There you go.
Yeah, I know a thing or two. This is the thing. Like, I think we often overestimate our own capacity and ability, partly because we underestimate how much. Oh, okay, yeah. The giant slug that consumes constantly, and that's what the algorithm does, is just trying to get you to. I see what you.
We got them.
Sorry. Brain moment.
I was gonna help you, but I actually forgot what you were saying as well.
What was
this? I was gonna.
Okay. This is what I was saying. Okay, yes, that we do so much work. We overestimate how much we can do, and we underestimate how much we're actually doing. So when you get up and you walk the dog and you make breakfast and you check on your neighbor and you text back your friend who's going through it and you donate to the thing and you're reading all this news and you're like, that's all labor. And so at the end of the day, you're like, dang, I haven't really done anything today, or I'm behind on my timeline. But it's because you just did 2 loads of laundry, scrubbed the bathroom, ran errands, sat in traffic, stressed about how you're going to pay your bills this month. Like, that is all labor and work. And so we often don't think about it, which also like means we don't think about that our audience is going through so much and they're being fed so much. And so one thing about is you really have to give yourself space, give it time, let it breathe. Like, some of y'all do these like quick turnarounds, and it's not nearly enough time for someone to see it, interact with it, feel it, internalize it, remember it, let it move them, right? And we've talked about on office hours so much. It takes 8 to 11 interactions with something in multiple ways for someone to process and remember and care about and become invested in this thing. Like, why do you think Love Island is on every single night? Because you have 6 nights a week of watching and investing in this thing so that then you vote in and then you talk about them on your socials and then you follow the after show and blah, 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 because you're having deep exposure to something. And so when you're setting these deadlines for yourself, give it time to breathe, give it space to breathe, let it percolate, let it take root, come back and revisit it, bring it back, like bring it up today and then bring it back in 2 weeks and just let people sit with it. Because when you set these like strict and arbitrary deadlines for yourself, it doesn't give people a chance. You've moved on and they're barely like, wait, what happened over here?
Yep.
And so slow down. Like, it doesn't have to be a rush. There's really no urgency. And if you're feeling the need to rush, then that's something you need to sit with, right? Like, are you not, like, check in with yourself and be like, okay, why do I feel the need to rush? Why do I feel underprepared? Do I not feel like I have everything I need? Am I feeling sensitive because the project didn't do the numbers that I thought that it would do in this frame that I arbitrarily decided was like the time frame for success? Give yourself time to let it breathe.
Yeah, two things. I was actually looking it up because we had talked about this before about the how many times it takes for someone to see something before it sticks. That number has risen since the pandemic, people, because everybody's memory's gotten cooked, and especially during that time, stress is at an all-time high, and actual things are happening with our bodies. Like that number, it's like 10 to 14 times now of seeing something. For it to actually retain. And so, like Nora said, some of you have already, and it's just, we'll keep saying this until literally YouTube no longer exists, but it's just like, you as the artist, you've sat with a project probably for a really long time, from just regular inception, which it's actually kind of crazy we're talking about this as a timeline, but that it works. But from the time you started writing the first lyric to the time it's finally out. So yes, you've seen it a billion times. It makes sense that you're kind of like, all right, like I've seen ours. All right, I'm done with this. Like, let me just get it out here. Like I've held on to this for so long. I've been working on it for so long. Let me get it out there. But like Nora said, it's your audience's introduction to this type of stuff. You're already moved on to the next 3 projects, and then you're wondering how come no one's listening to the other one. It's because you've moved on. There's no reason for the audience themselves to stick around if you yourself, and oh my gosh, some of you will legitimately be like, yeah, that was me last week. I'm done with that now. Okay, so why should they stick around either? Like, I will literally see people post on the internet, yeah, that project's out. I'm done with it. Yeah, we already got 5 more projects in the tuck. If you're not even going to talk about it, why would they? Don't blame them for the fact that you've already moved on. And so, again, giving it the time to actually roll something out so people can actually see what you're doing, again, just it makes it so much easier when, like, the further out the rollout goes. And it's so interesting that we've been doing these episodes because it's also like an avalanche where, like, if you're not organized or if you're so busy comparing yourself to others, or, you're being pressured by outside forces for your timeline and stuff like that, like all of that actually kind of avalanches into something that's kind of hard to battle against while you're simultaneously praying and hoping that people listen to your stuff. And so these last couple episodes we've done actually kind of work as almost like a proper trilogy of like emotion of thought where, yeah, like, let's get organized. Let's make sure we're not comparing ourselves all the time to the people we see every day on the internet. And let's make sure we're actually on our own timeline, not the timeline of others. And so, I think all of that allows you to actually not just be successful on your own terms, but also allows you to kind of step back and not burn out. It's hard being a creative. We understand that. And then the last thing I'll throw in here, I have to say, like, I will always understand the artist's plight and how, the industry sucks and all this other stuff. And I see artists complain about being artists and stuff like that all the time. But it's just like, yo, like Nora said, if that's how you're feeling right now, imagine how your audience is feeling right now. Right. Like, you've got people to take care of. You've got bills to pay. You're working multiple jobs. Like, some of your audience is dealing with some of the exact same stuff. And some of y'all do not acknowledge that at all because it's about you. I get it. You're the star. You're the celeb. We get that. But, like, you are not the only one out here getting smoked by real life right now. And the sooner you actually acknowledge that with audience, watch them turn around and follow you as well, because they see that, oh snap, it's not just about the numbers. It's not just, oh, I'm releasing an album in 8 days and I hate being an artist because I have to post content. It's like, that does that suck? Sure, I get the frustration there, but there are people on the other side of that screen that see that exact same post and like, damn, like, I just saw you perform in LA. I just saw you're doing all this stuff. I can't even get out the house because I got XYZ going on. So have some sympathy for your audience as well. It has nothing to do with timelines, but I see that a lot.
Well, part of that is like how do you do that, right? And we talk about that so much, but like this is what we talk about all the time. Make the invisible visible. Talk about your day-to-day life. Talk about, if you're one of those people that knows when you're done with an album, you're done with it, then you have to show that behind the scenes process even more, right? Yeah. So that when you do release and you're ready to be moving on to the next thing, you've at least prepared them for the rollout and the process and the making of, right? So some of that is also like setting the deadlines, right? Doing the foundation work so that the deadlines work the way you need them to. Deadlines don't exist in a vacuum. They exist within this larger context. The other thing I wanted to touch on as we hit, like our 20-minute mark, this is where I will remind you, if you're still here and you're still watching, Stowe and I do this for the love. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the like button, share this with some people who need to hear it. If you want to make a donation, we would love your tips and your donations. You can Venmo me or Cash App me. All the information's right there. It's also in the link below. And Stowe and I share that very transparently. But it just helps us like continue to do this because we're struggling. So if you've made it this far, thank you for being part of our community. And tell us a little bit about what are the deadlines you set for yourself, what works, what doesn't work. We always come back and reply to the comments. But the thing I was going to say is like, when you're working on your own, you have so much freedom to set the deadlines or whatever. And then there's certain things when you have some infrastructure around you, right? You might have like syncs or licensing deal, or you might be, working with a publicist to do a certain campaign. Like those things do have a timeline sometimes. And those are the kinds of things that you need to think about in advance. And if all you do is look at artists who are like in the mainstream and they have all the support and you're like, well, so-and-so dropped that overnight. It seems like they did it overnight. Or maybe they did.
Wait. How do you know they didn't drop it overnight, Nora? How do you know that? If they just dropped it today, how do you know?
It's just not how it works. And if they did do it overnight, right? And part of why like the industry will make you think that things happen quickly is because they want to keep alive the illusion of this artist is just like you.
Yep.
Right? But like the artist is not just like you. And you have to be careful about falling in that trap, because falling into that trap holds you back. So and then sometimes they do drop something overnight, but that's because they have relationships with the radio stations, the distro, the this, the that, and the other that allows them to get fast forwarded through a process that you don't have access to. And so
not just that.
And that just is what it is. And so like, rather than trying to do things quick and fast, which if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but do it knowing that you're doing it differently, that your overnight is not the same as like Kendrick's overnight or Beyonce's overnight or whoever else's overnight. And so if you give yourself time to plan ahead, one, what that does is it gives you actual flexibility with the deadlines. And two, it gives you space to do the pitching, to like pitch a song to an outlet that can then write about it, that can then put it where it needs to go in time for when you need it, right? Like it lets all the pieces fall in place. DJ Breast Milk says, you mean they didn't mix, master, upload, get samples cleared, royalties straight, artwork done, all in a matter of hours?
And it's just like, some of y'all really think that that's the case though. Like it's easy to laugh, but it's just like, I've talked to artists who genuinely, like, even if I'm trying to use like the maybe the most ethical example, I guess. But Frank Ocean, he dropped 2 albums in one day. If you don't think that that was planned, or at least in the works for months, if not years, like, you're just not paying attention. Like, you can't lock down all this stuff. Even if you use the example everyone still uses to this day is Beyonce. If you really think that she just did that, even if you want to say a week, if you really think she did that in a fucking week and had Apple distribution, exclusive rights to some of the visuals she was doing, like, holy moly, like, it's a completely different ballgame. And again, these people have entire teams behind them. It's not just like, and it's just like, oh my God, if I hear a woman, oh, well, Beyonce did it all by herself. No, she didn't. Nobody can. It's impossible, especially when you're in the mainstream. Oh, Doechie's an industry plant because she did it all overnight. No, she didn't. She has a whole team. These people have teams. Okay. And so comparing yourself and being like, I'm just going to do the same thing she did. No, you're not, because you're way off base. And I'm not even trying to be mean. It's literally just a fact by fact basis. If we took the same checklist that she used, or Frank Ocean, or whoever, versus what you believe your checklist should be for a surprise album, I promise you they are wildly different. And so stop comparing yourself to these mainstream entities who, oh boy, if we really want to get into it, ain't really running the game right anyway. Like, you don't want to be assigned to a label like these and stuff like that. And like, that's before we get into more brass tacks. But stop comparing yourself to celebrities that have money and teams and labels and brand deals and all this stuff.
Because even, and one, like, the legal clearance of things takes forever. Like, legal takes a long time. So like, just that aside should be enough fact checking. But I think the piece that happens is, like, maybe artists aren't comparing themselves to Beyonce, they're comparing themselves to a La Russell or to Snow the Product or to these artists who seem more like, you know, they're not like this tier. They're like right below that tier. So they seem more accessible. But again, y'all, like, there's so much, there's teams there, there's resources there, there's things there that you're not seeing. And so again, like, whether you're comparing yourself to the independent artist down the street or the superstar over here, the comparison is what's holding you back. And so as we wrap up today's episode, thank you for watching with us. Thank you for supporting us. Remember that comparison does not help you. Go back and watch that episode, but also, like, set deadlines that give you space. Set deadlines that work for you and that give you space to let a project breathe and that allow collaboration, allow, like, these things. If you want to work with other people, you can't expect quick turnarounds. So give it space. That's my biggest takeaway. Give it space. As always, thank you for watching. We're here every other week. Our next episode is The Art of Following Up, which I think will be really good because we've talked a lot about networking, but what do you do after you've made that relationship? What do you do after you've sent that email? How many times do you be like, just following up, just wanted to see? When do you give up? What's the difference between aggressive and proactive or persistent? So we're going to talk about all of it. As always, if you have any questions or thoughts or comments or feedback, leave it for us. Stowe and I really appreciate engaging with you, and you are engaging with us, and we comment. And if you have episode ideas, we want to hear them. Drink some water, take care of yourself. Stowe, close us out.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all checking in. Leave us comments. Let me know what your timeline is, even for right now. But yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks. We're back at it, and yeah, we'll see you back here for episode 109.
Bye.
Peace.